Michael. How are you guys? Nice to see you. David? Could be better. where we at now? Kids, there's 3 kids. We're 12 or 13 right now. So we may exceed that number.
Wage.
Lashana Tova, welcome to everyone. Shalom, shalom to those who are far off. Shalom to those who are near, says Adonai. Mighty God who listens to the poor and hears their prayer, how long will you be distant and hidden from me? Night and day I turn, calling out with a true heart, always thanking you for your kindness so great. My sovereign, my hope is in you. My heart trusts in you. As a dreamer of dreams depends on an interpreter. This I say, hear my prayer. This I seek, not more, not less. Welcome all of you to our Shana Tova service, our high holiday service, as we begin the high holiday season of 5783. And we welcome back to our show Cantor Charles Barron, who is here, believe it or not, for his 38th year. And I welcome all of you to our services. I will start with a short kavanah, a spiritual focus on why we are here in this building tonight. Arthur Waskow has pointed out that inside the walls of the old city near the Jaffa Gate, there is an ancient block of stone. It is a very busy place and most people rush by, but if you stop and look closely, you can see carved on that stone the letters LEGX. That stone is a relic of Titus's 10th Roman legion, the legion which destroyed Jerusalem and our temple almost 2,000 years ago. Recently, something most interesting has happened to that block of Roman stone. It has been recycled and now serves as the base for a homely, ordinary street lamp. Waskow observes, giving light, a strange renewal of the old menorah and a strange reversal of the Arch of Titus, where the arch turned the light from the menorah into stone. This street lamp turns the stone back into light, light to live by. That is the eternal task of our people, to keep turning stone back into light. And that is what this Rosh Hashanah, the birthday of the world, comes to tell us. A new year has been born and is waiting to be shaped by us into a season of healing for ourselves and those we love, but not only for them. Let us please rise for the Baruch Hu, the call to worship, page 5.
Baruch Adonai Hamborach Leolam Evoed. Baruch Adonai.
You may be seated. Baruch atah Adonai, our God, ruler of time and space, whose word brings the evening dusk, whose wisdom opens the gates of dawn, whose understanding changes the day's division, whose will sets the succession of seasons and arranges the stars in the sky, in the places in the sky. who creates day and night, who rolls light before darkness and darkness from light, who makes day pass into night, who distinguishes day from night. Adonai Tzvaot is your name, living and ever-present God. May your rule be with us forever and ever. Baruch atah Adonai, who brings each evening's dusk.
El Chai V'Kayam Tamid Yimloch Aleinu Li'olam Va'ed Baruch Atah
Baruch
Adonai
Shema.
Hamariv Haravim.
Page 6.
כי הם חיינו לאורך ימינו, ובהם נגה יומם ולילה, ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל. שמע ישראל אדוני אלוהינו אדוני אחד. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, והשנמתם לבניך, ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידך, והיו לטטפות בעיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך.
והיה אם שמעו תשמעו מצותי אשר אנוכי מצוותיכם.
ויאמר אדוני אל משה לאמור, דבר אל בני ישראל ואמרת עליהם, ועשו להם ציצית על כנפי בגדיהם לדורותם, ונתנו על ציצית הכנף לתפילת. והיה לכם לציצית וראיתם אותו, וזכרתם את כל מצוות אדוני ועשיתם אותם, ולא תטורו אחרי לבבכם ואחרי עיניכם אשר אתם זונים אחריהם, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
Page 8.
ומלכותו ברצון קיבלו עליהם משה ובני ישראל לחנו שירה בשמחה רבה ואמרו כולם מי כמוך באלים אדוני מי כמוך נדר בקודש נורא תהילות עוטף מלכותך ראו בניך הוקיעם לפני משה זה לי אנו ואמרו אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד ונאמר יפדע אדוני יעקב וגלום יד חזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני כל ישראל.
Page 9.
השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום והעמידנו מלכנו לחיים ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך ותקננו בעצה טובה מלפניך והושיענו למען שמך כן בהדנו והסר מעלינו אויב דבר בחרב וחרב רב יגון והסר שטן מלפנינו ומאחרינו ובצל כנפיך תסתירנו כי אל שומרנו ומצילנו אתה כי אל מלך חנון ורחום אותו ושמור צאתנו ובואנו לחיים ולשלום מעתה ועד עולם ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך ברוך אתה אדוני הבכורי סוכת שלום עלינו יעל כל עמו ישראל ויעל ירושלים.
Top of page 10.
היכו בחודש שופר בכסה ליום חגנו כי חוק לישראל הוא משפט לאלוהי יעקב. גדול ויתקדוש שמי רבו ילמד דברת חילותי וימליך מלכותי בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי לכל בית ישראל בגלה מזמן קריב וימרו אמן
ישמרה יברך לעולם ומעולם.
יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתעלה שמי לקדושה
בריחו
לעילה מכל ברכתה ושירתו ושפחתה ונחמתה כבירן בעלמה
We rise for the silent Amidah, beginning on page 11 and concludes on page 17. You may be seated when you have finished. page 19.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבם.
אמן.
ויעלמה דיברה חירותי ומלכמלכותי. בחיי חון ובמכון חייתך בישראל. בגלה וזמנכרי ואימרו.
אמן.
יהי שמי רבם מברך. לעולם עולם ועלמיה. יתברך. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומה מנשא. ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתעלה שמי קודשה.
בריחו.
לעילה עוללה מכל ברכתה ושבתה, תשבחתה ונחמתה, ואמירה מעלמא בימרו, אמן. תתקבל צאתו דחו בית יסוק, אדם אבוני ושמעיה וימרו, אמן. ישלום רבה משמעי בחגים, עלינו ועל כל ישראל וימרו, אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום. עלינו ועל כל ישראל ויאמרו,
Amen. Shalom, Baruchim Habayim. Welcome to the beginning of the high holiday period with this Rosh Hashanah service. Welcome to Agudath Israelites Ahayem Synagogue, our shul, our community, our family. Welcome to Cantor Barron, now in his 38th year as our chazan for the high holidays. This is my 16th year leading Montgomery. This is the longest I have been in any synagogue since being ordained. Actually, it's the only synagogue I've been in since the rabbiate. Irene and I continue to be amazed at all that has happened in the last 16 years from our interview to this moment. As is my custom for Erev Rosh Hashanah, I like to frame the high holidays through the use of a story. I don't like to use this time for deep theological thoughts or dilemmas, but provide a kavanah, an intention or direction of the heart for us to begin righting our ship, for returning our lives to where we need to be for ourselves, our families, our friends, and our Jewish souls. This story comes from Rabbi Eddie Feinstein, one of my teachers at the UJ. Once there was a kingdom everyone called Paradise. It was called Paradise not because it was any more beautiful or richer than any other place, but because of the way the people who lived there cared for one another. In this kingdom, if a friend needed something from a friend, someone always stepped forward to help without even being asked. If a neighbor needed something from a neighbor, someone would respond cheerfully and graciously without ever asking for anything in return. If a stranger needed something, people came forward to help with hospitality, generosity, and kindness. All this was because of the wise king. The king knew that his subjects would treat one another the way he treated them, so he was always careful and attentive and helpful. If he couldn't help someone, he would at least listen and express his concern. At last, the king grew old, and he approached his son, the prince, to rule in his place when the time came. Soon the king died, and the prince assumed the throne, but the prince was not wise like his father, nor kind, and he did not treat people the way his father did. The royal ministers approached the prince and declared, "Your Majesty, we have a terrible problem. There is a famine in a certain corner of the land, and the people there are starving. We must do something." "They are starving," said the prince impatiently. "Yes, starving. They have no food to feed their children. "But I have plenty of food," responded the prince, bitterly biting into a big apple from the bowl of fruit before him. "If they are starving, I'm sorry, but it's not my problem." "Perhaps your majesty didn't understand. People are suffering, and they haven't any food. They'll die if we do nothing." "Well, I'm sorry, but it's just not my problem." The ministers shook their heads in disbelief and slowly walked away. Just then, another group of royal messengers approached the throne. "Your Majesty, we have a terrible situation. A river has become poisoned, and the people who live along its banks have no water to drink. We must help them." "No water?" asked the prince even more impatiently as he poured himself a large glass of water. "Yes, your majesty, there is no water. People are dying of thirst." "But I have plenty of water," responded the prince, holding up his glass. "I'm sorry, but it's just not my problem." No one in the royal court seemed able to move the prince. Every problem that was presented to him was met with the same bothered look and the same response: "I'm sorry, but that's just not my problem." Before long, everyone in the kingdom was acting like the prince. When a friend needed help from a friend or a neighbor needed a hand from a neighbor, the one who was beseeched would look bothered and respond, "You need help? Well, I'm sorry, but that's just not my problem." And since they refused to help one another, they certainly refused to help strangers. Soon the kingdom had changed completely. It was no longer paradise. It was a wilderness, a wasteland. Soon no one remembered the way things had been. No one remembered the paradise that the kingdom once was. No one but fishermen. Fishermen remembered the old king and the ways and the way things used to be. It hurt him that everyone had become as selfish as the young prince. If only he could remind the people and teach them. But what was the old fisherman to do? Then one day he thought of a solution. He gathered all his money and bought tools and paint and materials. He set to work fixing up his old fishing boat. He would turn it into a yacht, the most beautiful yacht in the harbor. Fishermen worked hard. Each day people came by and admired his boat. "Hey, fisherman," they'd say, "when you're done, will you take us for a ride in your yacht?" "Sure," he said. "Everyone will be invited." It took him a year to finish his work. When the yacht was ready, fishermen made a huge sign and posted it for all to see. He invited someone to come for a ride on the lake to celebrate the yacht's first voyage. Everyone came from Sunday morning, even the prince. It was a splendid, clear day. The sun shone warmly, the lake was calm. Fisherman guided his yacht into the lake. When he reached the middle, far from the shore, he dropped anchor and invited everyone to enjoy themselves. His guests brought out their picnic baskets and fishing poles, and everyone had a wonderful day on the lake. Late in the afternoon, the wind picked up and the waves rocked the boat. "Fisherman, can we head home now?" the guests asked. "Sure," said Fisherman. "There's just one thing I need to do." He opened his toolbox and brought out a large hand drill. He walked to the exact center of the boat, positioned the drill in the hull, and began to drill. "Say, fisherman," people asked, "what are you doing?" "I'm drilling a hole." "But why are you drilling a hole?" "Why? Because it's a nice day for drilling holes," he responded nonchalantly. "But fisherman, if you drill a hole in the boat, water will rush in the boat, will sink, and we'll all drown," they said. At As he continued drilling, the passengers began to cry and beg, "Fisherman, please, please stop. You must stop." "Nope, it's my boat, it's my drill, and I'm going to drill this hole." Someone remembered that the prince was on board. "Get the prince," he shouted. "Someone get the prince, he'll save us." The prince swaggered over. No lowly fisherman was going to ruin his afternoon. He stood over fishermen in his royal robes, and a hush came over the frightened crowd. "Fisherman, what are you doing?" he asked in his deepest, most commanding voice. "I'm drilling a hole," responded fisherman, moving the drill around and around. "Why are you doing this?" asked the prince in his deep, princely tone. "Because I feel like it," responded the fisherman without even looking up at the prince. "Fisherman, if you make a hole in the boat will sink and we will all drown," the prince reasoned loudly. "Uh-huh," acknowledged fisherman. Small beads of sweat appeared on the brow of the prince, and his voice lost its commanding tone and took on that of a sincerely worried man. "Fisherman," he said, "I command you to stop." Fisherman ignored him and kept drilling. The prince was quickly losing his composure. Gone was the royal tone and all the royal trappings. Instead, he was just another frightened man. "But fisherman, what gives you the right to do this?" Fisherman explained slowly. "It's my boat, it's my drill, and I'm going to make a hole. Now, please move aside. You're blocking my light." And he continued to drill. The prince began crying and pleading like everyone else. "Please, fisherman, please," he begged. "I don't want to drown. I don't want to get eaten by fish. Please, fisherman, please." When the prince began to cry, fishermen at last stopped drilling. Yet again, a hush came over the crowd. Fishermen looked up at the prince. "You don't want the boat to sink? You don't want to drown?" Fishermen echoed the prince's pleas. Then fishermen slowly repeated the terrible words that had ruined the kingdom. "Well, I'm sorry, but it's just not my problem." The prince cried desperately, "What do you mean it's not your problem? Anyone can see that if I have a problem, you have a problem, and if you have a problem, then I have a problem. If anyone has a problem, then everyone has a problem, because we're all on the same boat." He stopped, looked like a man who had just figured out a great riddle. He repeated the words slowly. "If I have a problem, you have a problem. If you have a problem, I have a problem. If anyone has a problem, then everyone has a problem, because we're all in the same boat. Anyone can see that." "Yes, fisherman, anyone can see that." "Yes," said everyone on the boat, "anyone can see that." Fisherman smiled. "Now we can go home." He pulled the drill out of the hole, turned the boat around, and sailed safely back to the harbor. The people who got off the boat were changed. Never, ever again would friend turn to friend, or neighbor turn to neighbor, or anyone turn to a stranger and say those terrible words. Instead, whenever a friend needed help from a friend, or a neighbor needed a hand from a neighbor, the stranger needed some kindness, and whenever anyone came before the prince, he or she would hear, "Please, let me help you. Because if you have a problem, I have a problem. If I have a problem, you have a problem. If anyone has a problem, then everyone has a problem. You see, we're all in the same boat." Once again, the kingdom was paradise. Hillel taught, "If I am not for myself, who is for me? But if I am only for my own self, what am I? And if not now, when? It is important for me to be for myself and you for yourself. The question is, what is myself? Do the boundaries of self include only oneself, or are others included as well? A fundamental truth of the Torah is that the self includes family, community, and ultimately the whole world. That is why if I am only for myself, if my concern is only myself, I destroy myself. If my concern is for you and the community, I can rebuild the world. Shana Tova. We will continue our service. Page 23. May it be your will, Adonai, our God and God of our ancestors, that the year 5783 be one of balanced and mindful growth for us as individuals, for our families and our communities. May we return next year in good health and in appreciation of a year of greater peace, a year in which we deepened our lives through learning and the performance of mitzvot, a year in which we were conscious of the divine presence, a year in which we strengthened our shared commitment to tikkun olam, the betterment of the world. Grape juice, so I guess we're not going to do that. We turn to page 25 and we rise for Elena. Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. Please. I was full. Thank you. You can stay. You can stay. Cantor.
עלינו להשתבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הרצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל עמונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסר הארץ ומושבי קרוב בשמיים ממעל ושכינתו זו בגובי מרומים הוא אלוהינו ואינו הם דרכנו הם בצורתו ככתוב בתורתו וידעת יום והשבות אל לבבך כי אדוני הוא אלוהים בשמיים ממעל ועל הארץ מתחת אין עוד כי המלכות שלך היא ולעוד מעצמך בכבוד ככתוב בתורתך אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
May be seated as the ark is. Those observing Yartzeit and those who mourn, please rise, page 26, and join me for the Kaddish Tome, the Mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shmei Rabbah, v'yalma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayichon v'yamechon v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, b'hagalah v'zman kariv v'mahu amen, yehi shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam omed maya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei d'kudisha b'richu, Leilam min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechamata, da'amiran v'yoma v'maru amen, yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'maru amen. O se shalom v'imramav, uyase shalom, aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'maru amen. May be seated. Turn to page 27, and let us go ahead and recite together Psalm 27. Adonai is my light and my help, whom shall I fear? Adonai is the stronghold of my life, whom shall I dread? When evil people assail me to devour my flesh, it is they, my enemies, and those who besiege me who stumble and fall. Should an armed camp be arrayed against me, my heart would show no fear. Should they war against me, of this I would be sure. One thing I ask of Adonai, this I seek, to dwell in the house of God all the days of my life, to behold God's beauty and visit in God's sanctuary. Were God to hide me in God's sukkah, on the calamitous day, were God to enfold me in the secret recesses of God's tent, I would be raised up in a protecting fort. Now I raise my head above the enemies that surround me and come with offerings amidst trumpet blasts to God's tent, chanting and singing praise to Adonai. Adonai, hear my voice as I cry out. Be gracious to me and answer me. It is you of whom my heart said, seek my face. It is your presence that I seek, Adonai. Do not hide your face from me. Do not act angrily toward me. You have always been my help. Do not forsake me. Do not abandon me, my God, my deliverer. Though my father and mother abandon me, Adonai will gather me in. Show me your way, Adonai, and lead me on a straight path. Despite those arrayed against me, do not hand me over to the grasp of those who besiege me, for false witnesses and those who seek ill have risen against me. If only I would trust that I would see God's goodness in the land of the living. Place your hope in Adonai, be strong, take courage, and place your hope in Adonai.
קווה אל אדוני חזק והיה ליבך וקווה אל אדוני.
Thank you all for coming to our services this evening. Thank you all online. I'll get the cam situation switched. I forgot to change it during my talk. For those that are online, there is a machzer that we have purchased for use while you're at home. And our announcements for the holidays has that link, or you can email me and I can send you the link. On your way out, please take one of the grocery bags. Anytime during the holidays, you can pick one up. Fill the bags with non-perishable food items and return it return it on Kol Nidre on Tuesday night, October 4th. They will be collected after the holidays and taken to the Montgomery Food Bank. This is a great Tikkun Olam project, and we hope that everyone will participate. Services will continue tomorrow morning at 9:30. Get that right? After services, we will participate in Tashlich. And that will be in front of Lockwood's main entrance on Narrow Lane for a brief Tashlich service. You can pick up the announcements for the high holidays, which contain all the notes and all the services that we have from now through the end of the high holidays on October 18th with Simchat Torah. And we wish everyone a happy, a healthy, a joyous New Year. And thank you for joining us this evening. And we will finish our service on page 28 with Yigdal.
יגדל אלוהים חי וישתבח, ימצא ויהנט אל מציאותו, אחד בן יחיד כייחודו, נעלם וגם אין סוף באחדותו, אין לו דמות הגוף ואין לו גוף, לא נערוך אליו קדושתו, קדימו לכל דבר אשר נברא, ראשון וים ראשית לראשיתו, הינו אדון עולם וכל נוצר, יורה גדולתו ומלכותו, שפע נבואתו נתנו, אל אנשי סגולתו ותפארתו, לא קם בישראל כמו שעוד, נביא ומביט את אמונתו, תורה מת נתן לימואל, על יד נביאו נאמן ביתו, לא יחליף האל ולא ימיר דעתו, לעולמים לזולתו, צופה ויודע סתרנו, מביט לסוף דבר בקדמתו, גומל לאיש חסד כמפעלו, נותן לרשע רע כרשעתו, ישלח לקט שמין משיחנו, לפדות מחקקת ישועתו, ביתי מיכאל ברוך חסדו, ברוך הדיין שם תהילתו, ביתי מיכאל ברוך חסדו, ברוך הדיין שם תהילתו, שם תהילתו.
Please rise for a final benediction. Eternal God and Judge of all humankind, as we begin our journey through this season of self-reflection and judgment, we ask you to give us the ability to be honest with others, with ourselves, and with you. As we search our hearts for meaning and we strive to see our strengths and weaknesses, we seek to grow closer to you and each other. Banish self-righteousness from our being and bless us with a generosity of spirit to give us to the people around us without expectation of reward. May we be your servants, fulfilling your word and living by your teachings. May these hours of reflection renew our lives and renew the world, giving us the resolve to grow into the type of person you want us to be. Amen. Shana Tova Tikatevu. May you all be written in the book of life. Thank you.